Have you ever just stared at a block of Python code and thought, what on earth is the computer actually doing right now? Like what's it really thinking? Well, welcome to the Explainer. Today we're going to give you absolute X-ray vision into your programs. We are peeling back the curtain on how Python executes code behind the scenes, step by step, zooming in on exactly how conditions and function calls interact. Get ready, because it's going to completely change how you see your code. Because here's the thing. There's this huge beginner misconception that a computer reads code exactly the way we read a book, right? Like just starting blindly at line 1 and marching straight down to the bottom. But honestly, if it did that, our programs would be practically useless. They'd be so rigid. Instead, Python actually relies on this beautifully dynamic, totally nonlinear reading process. And that dynamic reading process, it's governed by a concept known as control flow. Think of control flow as, well, basically the invisible logic, like a master traffic controller, that dictates exactly how a program navigates through our code. It decides the literal order that individual lines are executed. And even more importantly, it figures out when conditions are evaluated, when function calls actually get triggered, and this is huge, when massive chunks of code are just entirely skipped by the computer. Seriously, grasping control flow is the absolute key to truly thinking like a programmer. Okay, let's dive into this with a specific scenario, the brunch menu program. Notice the setup we've got. Our Python code is up top, and the live terminal output is right below it. And take a look at that execution indicator, that little green dot. It's just sitting there waiting at line 8. Why not line 1? Well, because line 1 is just a function definition. Our actual live control flow begins way down at line 8, which is where the program actually asks the user how many in party. So, Act 1, the true path. Let's do a test run in our visual debugger and watch Python think, step by step, as it processes a completely successful brunch reservation. Let's map out this deliberate step-by-step journey our debugger is about to take. Say we provide a terminal input, a reservation time of 11. Python naturally moves down to line 10, right? And it checks our condition. Is the time between 10 and 14? Well, 11 definitely is, so boom, the condition evaluates to true. And because it's true, Python gets the green light to step into that indented block, meaning line 11 executes. But line 11 is a function call for the brunch menu. This is where things get wild. This triggers a massive shift in control flow. Instead of just continuing down to line 12, control jumps all the way up to line 1 where the function is defined. It runs through it, and then finally, control returns back down to line 12. Let's break that down a bit more. I really want you to watch closely as the code reaches that function call at line 11. I mean, look at that incredible leap. Python sees those parentheses and instantly recognizes, oh, hey, this is a function call. It immediately slams the brakes on its downward trajectory and literally jumps upward to find the matching function definition at line 1. This jump, this is the absolute essence of function control flow. That code at line 1 didn't run when the program started. No way. It just sat there, patiently waiting until it was explicitly summoned from line 11. So only after that jump happens does the actual function body begin to execute, line by line. The glowing execution dot moves to line 2, then line 3, line 4, and so on. And down in the terminal, we'd start to see the outputs popping up live. Brunch, French toast, eggs Benedict, granola with fruit. This whole printing sequence, it literally only happens because our true condition successfully directed traffic to that function call, which then pulled us right up into this block of code. But Python doesn't just hang out at the top of the file once it's done. It actually has a fantastic memory. Once the function execution completely finishes up at line 6, control flow knows it needs to go back, so it executes a return. That execution dot snaps right back to exactly where it was originally called at line 11. It's basically saying, okay, task complete, let's go back to where I left off. And only after making that return journey does the control flow smoothly continue onward to line 12 and the rest of the seeding program. Now for Act 2, the false path. Let's reset the scene. We'll run the code a second time, but this time we'll enter an input that makes our condition false.
We're creating a sudden roadblock for our invisible traffic controller.
Imagine this time around, the user enters a reservation time of 8, as in 8 a.m., way before brunch starts. Our execution dot hits line 10, and Python checks the condition. Is 8 between 10 and 14? Nope, that is false. And because it's false, Python does something drastically different here. It just completely ignores the indented block below it. The control flow literally skips line 11 entirely, dropping directly from line 10 straight down to line 12. Think about the consequence of that skip for a second. Because that function call was totally bypassed, the code inside the function, it never executes. No French toast, no eggs Benedict, nothing. It is exactly like writing an amazing recipe in a cookbook, but never actually pulling the book off the shelf to cook it. The instructions are all sitting right there, but without that explicit call to action, they remain totally unused. And this brilliantly illustrates our main learning goal today. Just look at the stark contrast between these two paths. When the condition is true, Python grants full access. It hits the call, jumps into the function, executes the body, and returns. But when the condition is false, access denied. It skips the function call entirely and jumps directly to line 12, leaving that entire function body completely untouched. The state of your data, in this case, just the time the user typed in, entirely dictates the physical path the computer takes through your code. It's wild. So, let's get to the big takeaway. Let's distill everything we just saw in this visual execution into the absolute fundamental rules you need to remember every single time you write or debug a program going forward. Let's quickly summarize the hard rules we just witnessed. First off, execution absolutely does not begin blindly at line 1. It starts wherever the actual main script logic kicks off. Second, if-else conditions, they are the ultimate traffic controllers, routing your path of execution. Third, false conditions literally cause entire code blocks to be skipped over, just totally ignored. And fourth, actually, scratch that, this is the most important one. Just because you write a function definition at the top of your file, that does not mean it will run automatically. So the crucial point is this massive golden rule derived straight from our source. The function definition itself does not execute automatically. It only runs when the function is called. Seriously, burn this into your memory. You could write the most beautiful, complex, totally error-free function in the world, just sitting right there at line 1. But if the control flow never reaches a line of code that explicitly calls that function by name, Python is going to treat it like it doesn't even exist. And that leaves us with a final thought to take back to your own programming. The next time you're just staring at your screen, super frustrated because your beautiful code simply isn't outputting anything, I want you to put on that X-ray vision. Ask yourself this provocative question: did I actually call the function, or did I just define it and let Python skip right past it? Because truly understanding control flow means you no longer just see static text on a screen. You see those invisible pathways of logic. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I hope this helps you navigate your code with absolute confidence.